1, 1, 2. Check me out right here, yo.
Mike Jackson here, the Athletic Performance Lab in Katy, Texas. Just concluded a Pat Barry seminar. Man, look like y'all having some fun out there tonight.
Hey, you know what? It's one of those things where I think people have the wrong idea. Whenever they come to one of the seminars, they think, all right, we're going to be low-kicking people to death. And then when it starts out and it's a little bit confusing at first, but then when it ends off, I think they end off like having fun the entire time. They laugh the entire time. And that is what I find to be the best way to learn something versus everybody, shut up, do what I say. I think like when it's a dictatorship like that, I don't think it works out for a lot of people in the beginning. I mean, it does, and it's very beneficial, but that's not the way that I like to teach.
Now, you're a very big name. I'm assuming you do a lot of seminars that attract a lot of people. For you, what's most important for students who come and take your seminars? What's most important that they take away from the event?
You know what? Whether any caliber of student, I don't believe that there's one person that knows everything. I'm a firm believer that anybody, like there's 1,000 different ways to throw a jab, and there's 1,000 different people that can show you different ways of doing it. I am not saying that I know everything in the world, but I do have some ideas on things that I've experienced, things that I've seen. So whenever anyone comes in, like, there's a million different things that I want people to get that I think is the most important, but the one that I like to stand out the most is that anybody can do this as long as if you commit to it, and if you really believe that you can, anybody can do this. This sport is for everybody. Now, I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying that. I understand that. All right, this sport might not be for some people, you know, but this sport anybody can do. I think this is the type of sport, this is the type of hobby that I think is attractive to the world, and there are a lot of people out there who have these self-imposed limitations that we all learn through life, just through growing up, these self-imposed limitations that actually aren't real. And I do my damnedest to see if I could just get one of those to disappear. And that's always been my goal. If I can just show you one thing that you can teach, one thing that I can show you, so one thing that you can learn, something that you can get out of it to go, what, you know what, and it can change your life, not just in the fighting aspect, but just in anything. You could be, I think that coming to the seminars, you can leave being a better athlete, a better student, a better parent, a better partner, a better child to someone, a better employer, a better employee, a better athlete. All around, I think that these seminars, when it's over with, it may not be set in stone right then and there, but I think it's the kind of thing that later on they kind of go, hey, you know what, that does make sense, and it will settle in.
I got you, man. That was deep right there, man. I love it. That was a hell of an answer.
Off the top. Didn't write it down.
Now, you're here in Houston for the inaugural Legacy Kickboxing event. Now, Legacy's made a big name for themselves promoting MMA. How do you think that's going to cross over into the kickboxing world?
I think it's going to cross over fantastically, man. The world wants to see people get hit. They want to see people get hit. They want to see people get banged out. They want to see people get punched in the head, kicked in the head, knocked unconscious. You can see people love MMA, and MMA is fantastic. I did it myself for a while. Rose is a phenomenal MMA competitor. They love MMA, but at the very core of it, people want to see people stand up and hit each other, or they want to see some type of action on the ground. But there's a lot of times where you see someone gets a big takedown, everybody goes, oh yeah, woo. 20 seconds into it, they're like, oh, stand them up, ooh, get off the ground, oh, you just laying down. Blah. You know what? Kickboxing happens to, that's a sport that consists of 100% strikes. It's got a ridiculously higher percentage of finishes, of knockout finishes. It's the kind of thing that people are always asking for, but for some reason, because it's not called MMA, they kind of go, man, they kind of like push it to the wayside. But kickboxing has always been, it's always going to be where it's at to me.
There you go. Now, Friday evening, you're taking on apparently my doppelganger and Demario Dennis.
Yep.
What type of challenges do you feel he brings to the fight?
Well, I guess he's not that much taller. I don't know. Well, no, DeMario, he's a young and up and coming guy. He's a Thundercat, man. He's hungry for it. He's got an opportune moment in front of him that I believe he just won't be successful at. This is going to be a great moment for him. This is going to be a great experience, and I think that his career will only skyrocket after this experience, regardless of the result, regardless of the win or loss for himself or mine. It doesn't matter. This experience. And this is the part of my career where I can actually come in where I'm at now, where I can think back and go, hey, you know what? I had a lot of experiences that have really molded who I've become. Like, this experience is going to skyrocket his career, man. The guy, like I said, he's a Thundercat, man. He's a young and up and coming guy. He's got he's got heart, he's got skill, he's got talent. He's going to swing for the fences. He's going to do whatever he can. And regardless of the result, he's going to come out of this a completely better fighter. Completely.
Earlier today it was announced that you're going back to Glory in April for Glory 20. Takes place in Dubai. You're taking on Merab Bazini. Man, I'm messing my man's name up, I'm sure. But he has, you'll be his 101 fight. What do you feel, what kind of challenges is someone, he's seen everything. I mean, he has 100 fights. He's seen, there's nothing that you could probably bring to the table for him. But for you, someone who has that kind of experience, how do you feel you can defeat someone like that?
You want to hear something crazy? Don't edit this out. You want to hear something crazy? I had no fucking clue that I was fighting in a Glory fight against whoever you just named.
Breaking news! Breaking news! Well, clearly, Pat Barry doesn't look past opponents, but this is in April. This is in April.
April?
Yeah.
I'm fighting in April, apparently.
In Dubai.
In Dubai.
Oh, okay.
All right. How do I feel about my opponent? Well,
you don't even know the guy, but let's just say someone, fighter A, with 100 fights. Like, what kind of, what does that do to you? What do you think about?
No, I mean, it's. I look at every fight like a single fight. It doesn't matter if you've had 100. We had people tonight in the seminar where one of the guys saying that he was fighting a guy who was 0-0. So I'm just fighting a guy who's 0-0. I was like, don't sleep on that dude. You don't know who can do what. If you've had 100 fights, that means that you've been in the ground, you've been there, you've seen just about everything. There's a really good chance that I won't be able to fake him out with anything. So him having 100 fights, I'm assuming he's not 20 years old, maybe. Him having 100 fights, I know I've had a significant amount of fights myself. It'll just be who can play the game the best, regardless of who he is or what he can do. Doesn't matter what he looks like, how big he is. Doesn't matter what he's good at. Doesn't matter what he's bad at. It's just who can play the game the best. Because that's who plays the game the best is most likely the victor. That is what happens. That's what you have to rely on first before heart comes into the play. Having 100 fights, that means you've got heart, you've got the experience. That's what comes after. Who plays the game the best first. And if we both equally play the game the best is who wants it more.
Pat Barry, make sure you follow him on Twitter and Instagram. Hype or Die?
Hype or die.
That's it, right?
Hype or die, yep.
Hype or Die.